Hey everyone, I wanted to shoot a quick video and send this out to you to see. I think this is going to be helpful because if you're not hearing about it, you probably will eventually. Basically, there are so many loan officers that were in the lead gen space for so long, and there were so many banks that all they did was refinance loans, or they did massive lead aggregation where they would, buy leads from all over the country, lowermybills.com or whatever, and they house thousands and thousands of loan officers, probably tens of thousands of loan officers. And so as refinances have gone down about 70, almost 80% now, those companies are starting to try and find a way to move their loan officers into the purchase market. And so what they are doing is buying trigger leads. And what this is if you send us a client, we take a normal application, we pull their credit. The credit bureaus will actually sell those people's information for dollars, sometimes almost nothing. All they get is a phone number, a name, and email address. So what happens is when your clients apply with us, we take the application, we hang up, they get phone calls. I got a text from one of my clients today. They said he got over 35 phone calls in one day. It's ridiculous, should be illegal. I actually think they're working on a bill that will help with this, but for now, your clients are going to be getting all these phone calls. One, it's important, we're telling them up front, they can go to this opt-out pre-screen page where they're supposed to not be able to call you, but they still do. And we're telling them ahead of time, but it's also helpful for you guys to know so that when they call you and say, hey, I got a phone call from, Northeastern Ravenclaw Bank of the Southwest out of Georgia that says they can give me a rate that's 4.875, which is just not attainable right now. It's just not. Our clients don't know any better. They're historically going to think they're going to get screwed over by their lender or whoever because they don't know them. And we try and do a good job building rapport, meeting with them. But when they hear that, it's going to pique their interest. So a couple of things that you can do when they end up coming to you with a loan officer or a quote or something to that effect, or if you have a listing and you're getting a pre-qualification form from someone, I wanted to show you this tool because I think it's super helpful. And I know that we're all super nosy anyway. So in your off time, you can look people up. So what it's called is NMLS Consumer Access. It's a free website, just as I said it, nmlsconsumeraccess.org. And what you do is you can come in and you can put in anybody's name in here, or you can enter their NMLS ID number. If you know it, you're probably just going to know their name. But their NMLS ID number is on their pre-qual as well. It has to be. So you have to enter a quick thing. And so as an example, if you look up my name, now let's go back real quick. NMLS numbers will tell you a little bit about the loan officer. The first 100,000 licenses were held for individual banks and actual lenders. So as an example, my NMLS number is 197,472, which basically tells you I was the 97,472nd person to get a license. We are now seeing NMLS numbers, going into the 2 million range. As an example, here's one, 1712206. What this means is it doesn't mean if they're a good loan officer or a bad loan officer. There are some great loan officers that have recently entered the business, and there are some that have been around for a long time that are terrible too. So it doesn't really tell you anything that you can be definitive about. But what it does tell you is how long they've been licensed, and we'll give you just a check into how much experience they may have. So if you look at an NMLS number, make sure if it's really big, you might want to dig a little deeper. So let's look at me real quick. Every one of these, if you're on this website, you have to report your employment history for the last 10 years plus. So I've been doing loans for a while, so I've got my time back to where I was in the Army. You can see that I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch, something that I know I'm very proud of, and I'm sure a lot of you think is very funny. But what we're really looking for here is how long have they been a loan officer or branch manager or whatever else. I don't know why my position hasn't changed. But so I've been at VIP. I was at VIP Tempe. We relocated to Gilbert. So I've been at VIP since 2017. Before that, I was at Suburban for a couple of years. Federal Savings Bank, this was a 7-month run. It's actually a good company, but they're out of Chicago. They were trying to have me build a retail presence out here. And I was at Fairway for a year, Service First for a year, Arizona Valley Lending, that was a brokerage that I owned for a few months. And before that, Hunter Financial for about 4 years. And you can continue to go back. The reason why I want to show you this is you want to take a look at how long people have been at certain companies. By all means, I went through a period where I had to move around from place to place. This is when I got into retail lending. I wanted to get out of lead gen at Arizona Valley, and I got into Service First Mortgage out of Texas. Worked with them for about a year. They ended up closing down their Arizona location. I spent that year getting to know loan officer or getting to know realtors and trying to build a business. Fairway, short period of time there. Federal Savings Bank, short period of time. Suburban was there for a couple of years. And now I've kind of found my home at VIP. So this isn't to knock people that have to move around from place to place. It happens. As an example, we will look at this gentleman. This is a little bit of a different story. So while he's been in lending since 2003, he has not been at the same place for more than, I think he was here for Loan Depot for a couple of years. But before that, it was a year and a half, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, or 6 months, 4 months, whatever. So, and he's now been somewhere he's been a guaranteed rate for about 6 months. So why is that something you might want to pay attention to? Well, he's only been there for 6 months, especially the last 6 months. He probably hasn't done a ton of business. So he doesn't know what their overlays are. He doesn't know what underwriters to call for certain things. He doesn't know to reach out to this person to help with this or whatever it may be. Or he may not know their full product mix. The other thing to take into consideration is if you look at certain people, let me find someone here. I know I saw someone. No, it's not that one. This guy was newer. Doesn't have any state licenses. He's with FDIC. There was one person here that I saw that had a multitude of licenses. This is reasonable. They have, regional areas. As an example, Sarah Hensing is one of our loan officers. She came from a lead gen place, and now she's gotten rid of all of her major licenses. But since when she was at a lead generation company, I think it was Home Point Financial, what you will see is she had tons of licenses all over the place. She's not renewed any of these because she doesn't. The only reason why she was licensed in these is because she was getting leads driven in. So if you see someone that has a lot of state licenses, the likelihood is that they, in some way, shape, or form, are receiving leads, which means they don't have realtor connections, which means the likelihood is that they don't, to be fair, they probably don't get compensated as much per loan. So their care factor is a lot less. And typically they're less experienced because they haven't had, most purchases are not going through lead gen. Most of that is refinances. So purchases you'll see are typically something like this, where I've got licenses in Arizona, California, New Mexico. Bart on our team has licenses in Washington, Oregon, Texas. So we kind of split them up, but it's really regional. So I thought this might be interesting for you guys. So when you have, like I said, a pre-qual coming in from another lender, you can kind of just take a look and see, is there a reason to be concerned or not? Again, this doesn't tell you anything definitive, but it will give you an idea, and then you can start asking some questions to find out what their experience level is and if you have as much confidence in them getting the deal done. And it's good to share with your customers that they come and they want to say, well, I know you know Aaron, but I don't know Aaron. And so how is Aaron any different than this person over here? You can say, well, look at the experience level, look how long they've been doing it. And hopefully that helps. So not sure. I just wanted to give you something that was not necessarily related to me. Market is moving favorably in our direction. I don't know what the banks are going to do, if they're going to keep shutting down regional banks or not. Sounds like they've got a plan for that. And again, I would expect that over the next 2 months, we start to see rates volatile, but ranging and moving back towards some lower rates. Fingers crossed. Hope you guys are doing great. Call me if you need anything. I'm always happy to help. Take care.